The rocket rose into the Florida sky like a promise no one doubted. In April 1970, America believed space travel had become routine. The moon had already been conquered. Another launch from NASA barely felt like history in the making, but inside Apollo 13, three astronauts were about to enter a mission that would turn into one of the most desperate survival stories ever told. Commander Jim Lovell had trained for years for this moment, a chance to finally walk on the lunar surface. Alongside him were Command Module pilot Jack Swigert and Lunar Module pilot Fred Hayes. The launch on April 11th was flawless. Systems were normal. The spacecraft slipped quietly into the darkness between Earth and the Moon. For 2 days, everything worked exactly as planned. Then, 200,000 miles from home, a simple instruction changed history. "Stir the oxygen tanks!" Seconds later, a violent bang echoed through the spacecraft. The entire ship shuddered. Warning lights exploded across the control panel. One oxygen tank had ruptured, ripping open the service module and bleeding life support into space. Oxygen wasn't just air to breathe, it powered electricity, water, and heat. Without it, Apollo 13 was no longer a moon mission. It was a race against time. Swigert's calm but chilling transmission reached Earth. "Houston, we've had a problem." Inside Mission Control in Houston, engineers stared at screens showing systems dying one by one. Power levels dropped, temperatures fell. The spacecraft was slowly becoming a frozen metal shell drifting through space. The lunar landing was immediately canceled. Survival became the only objective. With the command module losing power, the astronauts were forced to shut down their primary ship, something never meant to happen in deep space. Instead, they climbed into the fragile lunar module, Aquarius, designed for 2 men and only a short stay on the moon. Now it had to keep 3 men alive for 4 days. Every breath mattered. Every watt of electricity mattered. The crew powered down nearly everything, sitting in darkness as frost formed on the walls. Drinking water was rationed to ounces per day. Temperatures dropped close to freezing. Hayes grew weak with illness. Condensation floated like icy fog in zero gravity. Back on Earth, engineers faced an impossible challenge. Carbon dioxide levels were rising. The filters in the lunar module were incompatible with those from the command module. Without a solution, the astronauts would slowly suffocate. Working against the clock, ground teams dumped random spacecraft materials onto tables, plastic bags, cardboard tape, and invented a fix using only items already on board. Step by step, they talked the crew through building a strange box-shaped device by hand. Against all odds, it worked. Carbon dioxide levels began to fall. But the danger wasn't over. The damaged spacecraft had to loop around the moon using gravity to sling it back toward Earth. One wrong calculation could send Apollo 13 drifting endlessly into space. Manual engine burns were required, guided by nothing more than a window view of Earth and Lovell's steady hands. As the capsule approached home, another terrifying moment waited. To survive re-entry, the astronauts had to power up the command module using less electricity than a household toaster, a procedure never tested before. If it failed, the heat shield might not hold, and the spacecraft would burn up in the atmosphere. Then came the blackout. As Apollo 13 plunged into Earth's atmosphere, radio contact disappeared. Silence stretched longer than expected. 1 minute passed, then 2. Controllers stared upward, knowing that if the capsule had broken apart, they would never hear from the crew again. 4 minutes later, a voice cracked through the static. Apollo 13 had survived. Parachutes blossomed over the Pacific Ocean on April 17, 1970. The astronauts splashed down safely, watched by a relieved world that had followed every moment of the crisis. The mission that was supposed to land on the moon never reached it, yet Apollo 13 became something greater, proof that courage, ingenuity, and teamwork could overcome even the emptiness of space itself. Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't reaching new worlds, it's finding a way to come home alive.